Welcome to the Modernize or Die podcast, CFML News Edition, where we keep you up to date with everything going on in the Cold Fusion community. We'll share the latest news on events, releases to engines, frameworks, libraries, and tools, as well as spotlighting quality content from the community. Well, welcome everybody. This time I am flying alone. I'm going solo today on the CFML News Edition of the Modernize or Die podcast. It's August 27th. It is just me, but I've got some good news. So I don't want to keep you guys too long watching me talk all day. But so let's go straight into the news here. So some of the news released. So CommandBox Service Manager 1.0 was released this last week. And for those of you who don't know, it's a commercial module that we've created to help you manage your Windows services for your CommandBox servers. So if you're using CommandBox for your local or even staging and production environment, this can help you. It helps you create the Windows services. You can do auto start them, and it does a lot more than that too. We're looking at Linux and Mac as well, but to start with, this is a big setup. A nice set of tools, commercial product, like we said, but it's a great little tool. So you can go check that out in the autosolutions.com/blog, and then it's CommandBox Service Manager. So that was released in the last week. Brad's also been busy with CommandBox Fusion Reactor. The Fusion Reactor module for CommandBox has actually been updated just recently. So what this allows you to do is actually to precede a Fusion Reactor comp file. So you can actually have a comp file now as part of your build process that will allow you to add additional parameters into the Fusion Reactor process. So that's a nice little tool. We actually did it for a couple of clients, and it's working pretty well. So we updated that module and released it as well. And that can actually be found inside the autosbooks.com book for CommandBox. So if you go there, you can find out a little more. But it's basically a way to provide external comp file for Fusion Reactor. Also, last week, we actually announced a webinar for the CBORM, which was going to be last Friday. And right after the podcast, we rescheduled it. So there was some changes came out. So CBORM 2.2 was actually released in the last week. And the webinar is actually going to be this Friday, so August the 30th, 11 a.m. Central Time. So if you guys check that out, we have the links in the show notes. And if you go to the website, you can go to autosolutions.com/events/webinars, and you can go sign up for the webinar there, and it'll give you a reminder and everything there. So again, for those of you who didn't hear last week, the CBORM release 2.0 did a lot of updates for Hibernate. So in Lucy and the older versions of Cold Fusion, newer versions of Cold Fusion, they all use different engines of Hibernate. So we had to make sure that the CBORM was updated to work with Hibernate 3, 4, and 5. And so now this is up and running. It's got a lot of good upgrades. And in version 2.2, we just released, has a whole bunch of new Fluent DSL too. So there's some cool things like WIN and Active Record and Active Entity. So a lot of nice, cool stuff in there. So check out the webinar this Friday, and you can find out more about that as Luis Majano will be doing that presentation. Also, we have some more discounts. So obviously, we've been talking about CF Summit a lot, but CF Camp actually has an end of summer discount, and it's the 10th anniversary of the CF Camp. So it's been going on a long time. It's a great conference that we've talked about a lot. But if you want, you can get a 15% discount with the code EndOfSummer15 via the link. But so if you want to put the discount code in EndOfSummer15, you can try that, or wait for the show notes to come out, and then you can use the link in here to get 15% off your ticket to CF Camp. Again, Adobe's early bird is still going on, so it's going to be late bird special here. So the same prices are still available. So the conference pass is $99, and then you've got if you want to do the conference and one of the workshops, you can do them for $348 or $498 if you're going to do the certification process. So we're going ahead with that, and so let's talk about CF Summit. So CF Summit is coming up here. Again, it's October 1st and 2nd, so just a month away now. So if you guys haven't booked your tickets, get them now. Get your rooms. I'm sure they're probably getting pretty full. A lot of these conferences, the rooms are full up pretty quick. So if you want to stay at the Mirage where we're holding it this year, going pretty soon. It's always a great event. $99 is a great price for any conference. You get 2 days worth of breakfasts and lunch, as well as all the conference. They have a party usually on one of the nights as well, so it's a great time. $99 is a steal. A lot of great speakers. Luis, Brad, Eric, and myself are all speaking from Autist, and then we have a few speakers from Adobe. I think there's 5 speakers, and then there's plenty of community members. A lot of names you'll recognize, like Pete Freitag and Matt Gifford and Brian Class. A lot of people that we've talked about on the show before. So if you haven't been to a summit, this is a great opportunity. It's a great price. It's a good venue. Lots of things to do before and after. And before the conference, we have the certification training that Adobe is offering. So limited seating here. Make sure you don't miss out. And because there is actually prerequisites for this, you'll be given videos to watch before you attend. I recommend if you're going to do the certification process, sign up soon. Get that signed up, start working on the videos, because in the 1 day in class, you'll be going over all the materials, and then you have actually an exam at the end of it. So you want to pass the exam, get certification, so you need to do that work. So don't wait till the last minute, because you'll have to do that a lot of videos right before you go. So, take your time, spread it out. But they also have other workshops too. So in addition to the specialist training program, we have the hands-on security workshop, ColdFusion Security Workshop by Pete Freitag. We have the Going from 0 to 60 with Docker and ColdFusion Images by Charlie Earhart. And then we have the Performance Monitoring Toolset, which is going to be run by the Adobe ColdFusion team. And in the blogs, tweets, and videos of the week, we actually have a blog about that workshop. So you guys will probably want to check that out and see what they're going to cover in that. So that's being put out by the Adobe team, so you can find out more about it. But if 3 days isn't enough for you and you want to do more, you can do more, because guess what? Autist Solutions, we're going to offer training as well. So after the conference, so the pre-workshops is Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday is the conference, and then Thursday, Friday is the Autist Solutions training. So we're going to be holding that at the Area Tower Suites. So not too far from the Mirage. We're going to have a nice suite. We have a big conference table. We're going to have 10 people per workshop, a couple of trainers. So myself and Eric Peterson are going to lead the Coldbox Zero to Hero. And then Brad Wood and Luis Mahano are going to do the Hero to Superhero, the API edition. We've got quite a few people signing up for that. So there are a couple of spots left, but again, don't wait to the last minute. Get that in there. And if you use podcast 10, that's a special discount code for those listening to the podcast, so you guys can save 10% on our trainings there. And again, these are Thursday and Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. If you have trouble getting a flight out, you can leave a little early to get your flight, and we'll provide the information you missed. But if you can, stay. And it's hard to get out of Vegas on a Friday, so a lot of people stay that Friday night and then leave Saturday morning. But again, great trainings. The Zero to Hero, everyone loves it. We have a great little group of people that go through it, and we keep in touch with you guys afterwards. We have a Slack channel so you can ask questions once you leave, and usually the good networking sort of happens at these. So I really encourage you guys to try one of these workshops out. If you haven't, you'll get a lot from it, a lot of networking, a lot of support, and getting to know everyone is always a big bonus there. So next on the list, if you can't make those trainings, Luis Mahano is going to be in Bangalore, India on October 16th and 17th. Now, we had quite a few people sign up just recently for this. We did drop the prices a little bit, and that podcast 10 discount code applies here too. So if you guys in Bangalore and you want to send your team, we even have better prices for that. You can get group pricing as well. But like I said, there are a few spots left in this, but it's filling out fast. We got 5 or 6 people signed up within a day or two the other day, so jump in on that. And this is the Zero to Hero, so it's great if you've never done Coldbox, or maybe just done a little Coldbox. You'll get a lot out of this training. We rebuilt this one from the ground up a couple of years ago, and everyone seems to really like it. So you'll build a soapbox, which is basically a Twitter clone. You will learn a lot about modules, as well as pre-existing modules, as well as building your own. So it's a great class. 2-day boot camp. You get a lot out of it, and 2 days gives us time to really go over it in more detail. Into the box, we do a 1-day boot camp, and the 2-day really gets you stretch it out, get a lot more familiar, and we can go into things a little deeper. So it's definitely a great thing. After this, we're actually at the same time as this. If you're not in India, you're over in Europe, we have CF Camp. So the conference itself is 17th and 18th. But 15th and 16th, we're running some training too. But CF Camp's a great conference, as I mentioned earlier. It's the 10th anniversary. They've got the most diverse lineup ever. And I saw a few tweets about it this week that a lot of people were surprised how diverse it was. And a lot of great content. Kai and the team really worked hard on making sure we had the best content. And the anonymous sort of blind picking of the topics really helped to give a variety of speakers as well as a variety of topics. And because there were a lot of topics that were short, a few episodes back, we actually put out a call for more information on certain topics. And so I think that means that they really got a great selection, not only the sessions, but also the speakers too. So, unfortunately, I won't be there. Eric and Brad are going to be there. So they'll both be speaking, as well as Jorge Reyes, which is another Ortus member. He's a great project manager that works with us. And so they'll be speaking at CF Camp, but there's a lot of great other community members like Charlie Earhart will be there, Mark Drew will be there. Mark Drew and Rod Dudley actually do this local host podcast. If you guys haven't checked that out, do that. But Kai will be speaking, as well as Don Watson, and a lot of great people there. Matt Giffis will be there too, Nolan, Eric, Uma. So, and a lot of really good speakers, and there's a lot of people that I've never heard of before. So I'm looking forward to finding more out about that, and hopefully I can attend next year. But again, if you can't attend that, if you are attending that, Ortus is doing trainings before that. So at CF Summit, our trainings are after the conference. At CF Camp, they're going to be before. So on the 15th and 16th, the 2 days before, Eric Peterson will be leading the Rest Easy at Night with Testbox BDD. So a great workshop on that. And then Brad Wood will be doing the Hero to Superhero, the API REST edition. And so that is basically the same one as Vegas. And again, that's the more advanced. So if you have done a little bit of Coldbox and you think you're pretty comfortable, this one's going to go into like JWT, some web tokens. It's going to look at modules and APIs and really sort of go past the beginner stuff. So again, that training, if you use the podcast 10 discount code, you can get 10% off of that training as well. And again, this one is filling up as well. So please book now if you're going to do that. Get your travel situated. Make sure you're there early enough to be able to attend both days. And I hope you guys have fun there. And yeah, hopefully I can be there next year. So next on our list, we get to the blogs, tweets, and videos of the week. So we had quite a busy week here. Eric Peterson with Ortus Solutions released a new blog post. It's called A New Template Approaches, Quick with Auth. So if you guys haven't used Quick is our ORM that Eric Peterson is the main guy behind, but Ortus Solutions is funding that project. And Quick is a pretty neat, sort of different approach. Most of the stuff that we're using now, all ORM, is all Hibernate based with Lucy or Cold Fusion. So this is a slightly different one. It's built from the ground up, and it's very different. And so Eric says every time he starts a project, he does the same thing. He wires it up the same way. So he decided to build a template. So this template allows you to get up and running with Quick and has all the built-in authentication you need. So it has the migrations, it has the all the settings you need for your I think he's using CB auth, and so CB guide, everything is built in. So it's a great start. Just install it with a basically one command, and all that's up and running for you, and everything you need to start your project is done. We also had a tweet from Michael Bourne. He's asking CFML fans, what's the one big thing we desperately need in the ecosystem? There's no wrong answers. So this is kind of an interesting tweet. Had a few people answering. Some people said it needs like a big app, like WordPress, what that did for PHP. Other people said it needs some other tools, etc. So it's interesting. If you got an opinion, go share it. If not, go read it. And that's on Twitter, Michael Bourne. And that is Michael Bourne _ME, if you want to check that out on Twitter, and the link will be in the show notes. Ben Adele's also been blogging, not a surprise there, but he's been talking a little more about soft skills in the last couple of tweets, so not as deep dive, but looks like he found a new book. So Shape Up, which is Stop Running in Circles and Ship Work That Matters by Ryan Singer. So he's from Basecamp over there, formerly 37 Signals, and their books are pretty good. And so that's the latest book. I actually heard him talking about that book on a podcast with Justin Jackson for Building Your SaaS. The Transistor FM is the people that we actually use for the podcast hosting, and so their podcast actually interviewed him, and that was kind of interesting. So they're talking about shaping work and making sure you do the right stuff. So Ben read that book, and so he's got one which is about that book, and then he has another one, another blog post that said solutions don't have to work for everybody. So it's just sort of a different way to think about what you're adding, and how flexible does it need to be versus does it work, So a little more softer blog post from Ben. And Brian Klaas is at it again, and he's started his blogs. We loved his long series on AWS step functions, but this one's actually starting and stopping the ColdFusion 2018 performance monitoring toolset from anywhere in the macOS terminal. So obviously he works on macOS, and if you guys have worked with ColdFusion before, sometimes the path that runs that command to stop and start is kind of a pain. It's pretty long. You have to keep seeding into it. And so he showed you guys how to go ahead and make a shortcut for something like that. So you can use that, and that way you can restart it from anywhere. So nice blog post there. And then we had a tweet from Andreas Skuldhaus, which is at CF Expert. And again, this is about CF Camp. So glad to see there is a much more diverse lineup at CF Camp 2019. Looking forward to a great 10th anniversary of the conference. And so it was just kind of nice to point that out. I'd forgotten it was the 10th anniversary. So it's been doing really well. Hopefully they're around for year 11 so I can show up next year, because I'm really hoping I can make it. And we also had Kai Koenig. Again, he's with the content committee with CF Camp, but he actually wrote a blog post and posted to Medium. And on that one, that's called, there's that ColdFusion thing. Why CFML is not the web development tech zombie everybody thinks it is. So, I mean, most people know Kai outside of the ColdFusion community anyway, about he does a lot of work on Android and Flutter these days, but he used to be Flash and Flex, but before that he did ColdFusion, and he still does, but it's just not as popular. So he's basically talking about it and showing why it's not as dead as everybody thinks it is. So that's posted to Medium. So if you guys are using Medium, please go on there and, let's try and bump that post up and share the tweets about it, maybe get some word out. It's one good thing about Medium, it does get a little more reach. So if you guys can get on there and do your thing, thank Kai for writing it, and just help ColdFusion out a little more. So we had another one from Ben Nadal, but this time it was a tweet. So he said, I finally figured out how to find the Modernizer Die podcast on Apple. I had to search for CFML, not ColdFusion. So now he's dining on some piping hot ColdFusion-y goodness. So he did actually link to where the podcast is. So I'm going to check and see why it didn't show up under ColdFusion. If you guys go to the website, cfmlnews.modernizerdie.io, and you click on the subscribe button, you'll see all the different ways you can subscribe. You might be watching on YouTube right now or something, but if you guys log on, you can see all the other ways you can consume it. And the Soapbox podcast is also available on Apple iTunes as well. And that, if you search for Modernizer Die Soapbox Edition, you'll find that, where we interview people. And so far, we've had 6 episodes released there. And so we had 2 or 3 with Luis, and we had Sam Knowlton, Pete Freitag, and also Brian Klaas interviewed there. And so that's another place you can listen. But I do have to update the Soapbox Edition website for all those new links we've finally got approved for Apple and a few other places. So I'll be adding all those links to the subscribe page there soon. But I'm glad you finally found it, Ben. Hopefully you're enjoying all of these. And there's lots of good stuff there. Thanks for the tweet. And then Lucy also blogged. Zach Spitzer posted about TLS 1.2 support for CFML just landed in the 5.3.4 snapshot of Lucy. And I guess there's a problem if you're trying to use TLS 1.2, CFML was not supporting it before, and that's being fixed. And there's also, I guess, a workaround for if you're running older versions. There's a workaround to get around that there. TerraTech also blogged this week about upgrading your ColdFusion today, talking about security, performance, and cost. It was an interesting sort of point of view, because he was talking about a client. So one of the clients, thinks upgrading Cold Fusion is a waste of money. So one of the clients was thinking that, and Teratech says you could lose thousands of dollars basically if you don't. And the client was basically saying, they want to stick with Cold Fusion 8, and they kept piling new lines of code into the app, and basically the code became a Frankenstein monster and running an older version. And so I think Michaela wrote that blog post over there at Teratech, so go check that one out and find out a little bit more about that story and why you should upgrade your Cold Fusion today. Obviously, we should know why, but security and performance, is it really worth the cost? So, good article there. The next one is CBORM version 2.2 is out, as I mentioned, and that's available on the autosolutions.com blog there, so you can find out more about that, or you can go watch the webinar this Friday. We also had a blog post from Adobe, and this is the one I was talking about. So the Cold Fusion 2018 Performance Monitoring Toolset Workshop at CF Summit 2019. And they say the most awaited workshop is here. We're organizing a workshop for Cold Fusion Performance Monitoring this year at CF Summit. And if you read the blog post, it's available on coldfusion.adobe.com, and that talks all about their workshop and what's going to be included. So if you guys are thinking about maybe going to CF Summit for one of those workshops, check that article out and see what you think. Also, James Moberg had a tweet about an auto hotkey macro to perform a column of data in your clipboard, copied from Excel, convert it to a list for a SQL in statement. So it's a huge time saver, he says. There's a link here to his blog post on Tumblr. So if you look for the show notes, you'll see that one there. But it's got a pretty cool little macro. So nice. Thanks for sharing, James. And then Charlie Earhart had a blog post about configuring Fusion Reactor to show real IP address when behind a load balancer of a proxy. Funny thing was, I was talking to a client the other day, and we had some data truncation on a table, and that's because we were storing the IP address, but those people behind a proxy, usually IP addresses, and you have comma separated, and depending on the setup, you can get a lot of IP addresses in there. And so Charlie shows you how to do that in Fusion Reactor to actually show the real IP, and it's pretty easily fixed, and he shows you exactly how to do that there. So that's available on careheart.org, which is C for Charlie, and then Earhart, his last name, .org. And again, the link will be in the show notes. We also have a couple of job opportunities. So I mentioned there's quite a few showing up in India, but this one was actually on Twitter as well. So in Bengaluru, Karnataka, sorry, my pronunciation is terrible, but Accenture Technology is looking for a full-time developer there. Accenture seems to be hiring a lot of people in India, so if you guys are looking for work, check that out. But on CFML, getcfmljobs.com, they have that there. And so they're looking at a full-time position there. There's also Segue, S-E-G-U-E, Segue Technologies is looking for a senior Cold Fusion developer, 1099 in Washington, D.C. They're looking for experience with advanced Cold Fusion concepts, including Cold Fusion components, CF script language, server instancing, ORM mapping, and SOAP services. And again, that's available at CFML Jobs on Twitter or getcfmljobs.com website. A lot of great content there, guys. If you see anything that I missed and you want to spotlight it, please let us know. You can get me at gpickin on Twitter, or you can just tag CFML, and that's how I chase things down. So hash CFML. Okay, so now we're up to ForgeBox, the module of the week. So this week, I thought we'd do something new. So the last few weeks we've been looking at older packages that have been around, but this one's actually a pretty new one. So this week I'm going to talk about the Gitbook exporter. So Brad talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Gitbooks is what we use for all of our documentation. And if you go to autosbooks.com, you can see all of our Gitbooks listed there. We've got a lot of them. Some of them I didn't even know we had Gitbooks for, but that's what we use for all documentation. We really like it. But in a previous version, they used to have features for exporting to Mobi and all sorts of different formats. And then you could also print them. So you could create a PDF version and print them and get them delivered if you wanted a hard copy. And that disappeared just recently when they did a big update. And at this point, we don't know if it's coming back. So my friend Scott Steinbeck and Brad Wood, got busy one weekend, got inspired, as Luis would say, and started working on a Gitbook exporter to be run from Command Box. So they did some pretty cool stuff. They're looking at a lot of interesting pieces, and basically they built this little open source tool, and it's available on ForgeBox. It's a CFML tool, and it does run a little bit of Jython, so Python running on Jython, which you can do from Command Box, which is pretty cool since we live on the JVM. It's a pretty cool little module. So you can basically get a Gitbook, you can export, you can do an export from there, run this command, and it generates this beautiful PDF documentation from your Gitbook. So it's something you should probably check out if you have a Gitbook. If not, it's a good option. So again, that is Gitbook-exporter. You can go look for that on ForgeBox, and right now it has, a couple hundred views, a few installs, and a few versions, but they're working hard on that, and we're actually using it for orders to, use it for our Gitbooks to be able to export and maybe get a few print copies available for all these conferences that we have coming up. So that's the ForgeBox module of the week. And then the VS Code hints, tips, and tricks of the week. So this one actually came from a client of mine. They like watching the podcast or listening to the podcast, and they wanted to, submit something here. So they recommended import cost. So this import cost function is pretty cool. The extension will display inline in the editor the size of the imported package. So if you guys are using, Webpack or any of those other tools, it actually uses that to go and get the imported size. And so right inside your file, you can see how big the file is, how big the library is, and it really helps you, keep down your package sizes. So it works with quite a few different things. So, it works on something like import func from utils or import star as utils from utils. It can work with TypeScript and JavaScript. So it's a pretty cool little tool, and it's just one of those little things. Like, it's not a big deal. It's kind of nice to have, but it just sort of shows up in the when you're working away, and it's just kind of those nice little things. So I really like that about VS Code, how even little things like that, which you're like, oh, it would be nice to know that. Well, you can do that stuff. And again, you can write your own little extensions as well. So now, that being said, has anybody written an extension for VS Code that you guys would like to share? I'd like to spotlight someone from the community if you've written one. So again, GPickin on Twitter or, at Order Solutions, and let us know if you've written one. Let us know, and we'll check it out, and then maybe we can announce it on the show next week. Now we come to that part of the show where we thank our Patreon supporters. Again, Patreon does support our open source products. So if you guys are, supporting us, we thank you. It's a big help to us. It really does help. Obviously, Ortus is a professionally supported company. We do a lot of professional services and everything, but these Patreon supporters really help us, get across the line and just help push us with those open source projects to make sure that they're always there and always working. So I really appreciate your support there. And we do have a lot of people in that list. So Andrew Davis, Gary Knight, Jan Yannick, Joseph Lemery, Laxma Tedderati, Richard Herbert, John Farrar, Kyle Van Stetten, Don Bellamy, Samuel Knowlton, David Bellinger, Yogesh Mathur, Stephen Klotz, Dan Card, Jeremy Adams, Brian White, Didier Nisnicki, Scott Steinbeck, Jordan Clark, Matthew Clemente, and Dali. So thank you guys for supporting us. And if you guys are thinking about supporting us, please look at our sponsorship page under About Us, because we have a lot of packages that you can actually look and support. So there isn't just a general package, but there are different packages with different support. So if you really want, your company's willing to support us, we thank you. And depending on the amount you actually pledge in your Patreon, there are different options. And one of them, if you really want to throw a bunch of money at us, you get guaranteed monthly time with Luis. He'll sit down, he'll do code reviews or strategy planning, architecture planning, whatever you need. So obviously, there's different steps, and right now we're supporting everybody or thanking everybody on this podcast, but there's other benefits you can get to by signing up and being a Patreon supporter. So we do thank you guys for that. Just so you know, just saw in the chat here, that Scott Steinbeck is in the chat. Thank you, Scott, for watching and listening, and thanks for that module on ForgeBox. But he also wanted to say that Mobi and EPUB is coming in that Gitbook supporter too. So not only PDF support, it'll also support those others. So pretty cool. And Scott also said he wants to take the CF format function and then add a VS Code formatter like Prettier. So I think someone was working on that. I'm not sure if it's finished. So if you have done that, please let us know so we don't redo the work. But if not, CF format's a great little tool that allows you to format all your code just like Prettier does for JavaScript, so we don't have to have these arguments about where the spaces should go or is your code in line. It'd really be good. Yeah, Scott said he'll sign the ticket to Brad, so Brad can do that for us. But I know we've been working on that for a customer. I'm not sure if it's in VS Code or just in part of our build process. But anyway, be great to see that done. You know, it's really good to see the community coming together and working together. And thank you guys for watching and listening to me rant all by myself. A little lonely here, all alone in the studio, no one around me. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the news. Thanks for all the community support. All these blog posts and tweets are great. And again, thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody. Show notes for this episode can be found at cfmlnews.modernizeordie.io, where you can also subscribe to your favorite podcast player like Spotify or iTunes. We also have the link to YouTube to find more videos just like this. The music used in this podcast is under a royalty-free license from Sound.com and Blue Tree Audio.